everyone, and welcome to episode 167 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and like usual, I'm joined this week by Richard. How's it going today, Richard?
Hey Seth, what's going on?
Not much. Ready to talk some Magic. So this week, our big focus will once again be Dominaria, but before we jump into Dominaria, we want to talk a little bit about the GPs that went down over this weekend. It was Seattle, there were multiple GPs, there was a Legacy GP, it was pretty sweet, but we mostly wanted to focus on Standard, because a couple of interesting things happened at the Standard GPs. So, a little bit of Standard GP talk, Dominaria spoilers like crazy, and then we'll wrap things up with some Fishmail. So, we better jump into it, lots of Fishmail this week. So, Richard, did you happen to catch any of the GP action over the weekend?
Nope. Can you fill me in, Seth? Did something important happen at these Grand Prix?
So I was bouncing back and forth with my Magic watching. There was Cedric and Patrick doing Modern on SCG, also GP stuff, so I was going back and forth. But the big news of the GP scene was kind of twofold. First off, Gan Yan won the Standard GP with Ramanamp Redless, Ramanamp Red, Mono Red Aggro, whatever. But the big deal there was he went 18-0, the first time in the history of Magic GPs that someone literally ran the table, no losses, no draws, no intentional concessions or anything. So all the way through, and it almost happened the Legacy GP as well. I guess the Legacy GP winner actually didn't lose a game, but they scooped to a friend in round 15 to make their friend get into the top 8 or increase their chances. So almost did it there as well. So that was one big news. Also, we actually have a pretty new deck in Standard with this crazy blue-red God-Pharaoh's gift deck. So any thoughts on 18-0, Richard? How hard is that? Like, how hard is it to go 18-0 at a GP?
I mean, it's really hard, but I'm surprised it's never been done. I guess because of the way the tournaments work, you're usually incentivized to kind of just draw the last round. So a lot of people kind of just draw in kind of the final rounds, or you get like a unintentional draw somewhere. So to actually go 18-0 and make it all the way through and not pull a New England Patriots, as you so told me earlier, and kind of like go through Swiss, tear through, and then lose in the finals or something. That's actually quite impressive. And it's not like they're playing Cobblade or something. It's mono red. Everyone knows mono red. So that's just tight play and good draws throughout the entire tournament. So that is impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes good play. So congratulations to Gan Yan on that. Also, there's got to be some amount of luck involved. Just if you think about 18 matches of Magic, odds are you're going to get mana screwed at some point or Moldafor at some point. So there's a little bit of luck thrown in, but still super impressive, like to go 18-0 and actually take down the tournament. The other big thing was this blue-red God-Pharaoh's gift deck. So this deck is kind of funny. There was someone posted a 5-0 with a somewhat similar list a couple of months ago, and it's built around getting back combat celebrants with your God-Pharaoh's gift, so you can kind of like combo and take a bunch of attack steps and win right away. I tried the initial build of the deck, and I thought it was horrible. I could not win a game with it, but it's sort of evolved since then, and the deck actually looks pretty sweet now. So what do you think of this list, Richard?
Apparently everyone in Seattle is just like hiding there playing blue-red God-Pharaoh's gift. Just out of nowhere, this deck just explodes, and I don't know what to make of this. Is this a weird local metagame thing? Because I know Seattle is a big legacy city, and there's a very like localized metagame there. Does the same thing happen for Standard, or are we seeing kind of the new Standard emerge from this? You know, next week everyone will be rocking blue-red God-Pharaoh's gift, and this is the start of the metagame shifting into something new.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might be a real deck because we've seen a few scattered 5-0s on Magic online, so it's not like this deck just came out of nowhere. Well, I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere, but not literally nowhere. But it put 3 different people into the top 8, which if you would guess before the tournament what deck would put 3 in the top 8, it would probably be Scarab God or Red Aggro, definitely not Blue-Red God-Pharaoh's gift. So it was actually not just like one person spiked the event with their pet deck, multiple people put up really good performances. And the thing I really like about this deck, God-Pharaoh's gift decks in the past have been really focused on the God-Pharaoh's gift, where you kind of, almost like a Heartless summoning problem. Like, you build these Heartless summoning decks. When you have Heartless summoning, your deck looks like it's the most busted thing in the entire history of Magic. But if you don't draw Heartless summoning, then your deck looks horrible. This deck kind of eliminates that problem because it's basically this really weird blue-red aggro deck. Everything in the deck, outside of a couple of Vizier of Many Faces, is 3 or less mana. You got Bombat Couriers and Fanatical Firebrads and Warkite Marauders. So you can actually just be this really janky Is It beatdown deck. And then the combo of God-Pharaoh's Gift is kind of like your Lightning Bolt or something. You get in this early damage, you have all these random creatures that sacrifice themselves, and then all of a sudden, you just take 2 or 3 combats in a row, force through those last points of damage with your 2-1 Warkite Marauder or whatever happens to be on the battlefield and win the game. So it looks really janky, but I actually think this deck's pretty legit, and that we will see more of it.
Yeah, I like it because these cards have been floating around for a while, and no one thought this would work. But then someone tried it, and it worked, and then here we are, an aggro deck with a 7-drop. That's what's happened. So weird, but very interesting.
Otherwise, pretty normal stuff. God-Pharaoh's Gift, the blue-red one, was the breakout. Otherwise, some vehicles, some mono red, not as many Scarab Gods as I would have thought. Probably the other, I guess if you want to call it a breakout deck, was actually black red vehicles, which is kind of almost mono red aggro with more vehicles thrown in, splashing for Unlicensed Disintegration. But otherwise, not anything super crazy to take away from the event. I will say, it seems like the community's mood has really shifted on Standard. Have you noticed that, Richard? Like, we spent the better part of a year where the only things you heard about Standard were negative, complaints, went through so many bannings, but now the mood on, like, social media or even just watching the GPs, I think people are finally pretty happy about where we're at with Standard.
Yeah, and I would say the community as a whole is actually pretty happy. If you think about it, this is actually probably unprecedented. People are on the up and up about Brawl. Outside of some voices complaining about Arena, in general, I think the Arena narrative is good. People like Modern. People like Standard. People like everything Magic right now. There isn't really much to complain about. Even like card stock quality, we haven't heard as much complaints about. So I guess we heard about foil warping from Commander 2017, or is it 2017? The one with Kess.
Yeah.
That's the only negative thing I've heard in a while about Magic. So we are actually a very happy group recently.
Yeah, kind of surprising and refreshing to some extent. Other than, like you said, I'm still on the complaint about Arena's economy train, but otherwise, Magic, it's really turned around. At least the community's feelings about it have really turned around, and it was a rough year, but I think we talked about this like 6 months ago after we were going through like the final rounds of bannings, and we're like, we're so close. Energy is the problem. Wizards just messed up with energy. If we finally just get rid of it, things will be good. And I think that ended up being true. Like, I think if you look back over it, finally just getting rid of energy altogether, nerfing it extremely severely, actually did fix Standard, and now we're in a good place. Like, Modern didn't break with Jace being unbanned. Standard is finally healthy. People are excited about new formats, so it seems like, compared to last year this time, which was probably the worst period of time in my experience in the Magic community, going back like a bunch of years, I think that was maybe the low point of my time in Magic, just as far as how people felt about the game and what was going on. And now all of a sudden, it's just on a 180, so it's pretty exciting to see.
Well, hold on for Dominaria, Seth. We might have some emergency bans incoming. We'll see.
Speaking of Dominaria, let's move on. We have a ton of Dominaria to talk about since last week. I think now we have every mythic officially confirmed and spoiled, a decent amount of the rares, so we'll still have some stuff trickling out over the rest of this week. But Richard, why don't you take it away? We got a bunch of cards we wanted to talk about today.
All right, we're gonna rapid fire through the mythics and then some choice rares we want to talk about. So we have a legendary creature, Elder Demon. Demon Lord Belzenlock. 4 black, 6/6, flying trample. When it enters the battlefield, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Then put that card into your hand. If that card's converted mana cost is 4 or greater, repeat this process. Demon Lord deals 1 damage to you for each card put in your hand this way.
This card's actually pretty good, I think. I actually really like this card. It reminds me of a Hearthstone card. I don't remember which Hearthstone card it is, but if you think that it's a 6 mana 6/6 flying trample, that's already good. Worst case, you draw a card. Best case, you draw multiple cards, and that's not even including like Tomer's 6-drop tribal deck or something where you just get to draw your entire deck when you cast this. So I think this is actually a pretty decent demon.
For Commander? I don't know how many cards you're actually going to draw, because how many 4+ converted mana cost cards are you going to have in your deck? So I think most times this thing draws 1 card, maybe 2 if you're lucky. So that's okay. It's a 6-drop. It's a 6/6 flying trample. Like, it's okay. I think it's okay. I don't know if it'll see standard play. I think you might try it in Commander. I think if you're playing Tomer's 6-deck tribal, you can't even play this. You're gonna die, right? You can't even play this in that deck.
Yeah, you'd have to like put a couple of lower converted mana cost things in, or you would just kill yourself.
What is that tutor? Remember we always kill ourselves with that tutor in Commander?
Oh, spoils? No, not spoils of the vault. It's like spoils of the vault.
Yeah, this seems like one of those cards that could kill you if you don't build your deck right. But it is cool. It is an Elder Demon.
I think this is the first. I think this might be the first Elder Demon. Also, Panharmonicon. Then you're guaranteed to draw 2 cards, and it's 4 or more mana, so you get to get respin if you draw your Panharmonicon off of it.
Yeah,
it's a combo.
I'm looking forward to the deck, Seth. All right, next we have Derigaz Reincarnated, 4 black, red, green, so 7 converted mana cost, 7/7 legendary creature dragon, flying trample, haste. If it would die, instead exile it with 3 egg counters. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Derigaz is exiled with an egg counter, remove an egg counter from it. Then, if there are no egg counters, return it to the battlefield.
I mean, I think this card is very powerful. It reminds me of Hellkite Overlord, where it's just, if you ramp into this, and we got pretty good ramp with like Hour of Promise, Gift of Paradise, but if you can ramp into this on like turn 5 or turn 6, that's a lot of flying, trampling, hasty damage is just smashing in. I think the egg counter thing is kind of deceiving though, as far as standard is concerned, because so much of the removal spells that actually kill this dragon are going to exile it, like Vraska's Contempts, Cast Outs, Ixalan's Binding, the stuff that would naturally kill it, Fatal Pushes and Cast Downs and stuff like that. It's not going to kill Dragaz anyway, or Daragaz, however you say it. So I think that the egg part is deceiving, but I kind of like it for standard, just as this huge game-ending threat that you can ramp into really quickly.
Yeah, the egg part is really, like, 3 turns is a long time, so it's pretty much removed as soon as it dies. But it is a 7/7 flying trample haste. Is this the Phoenix of the set, Seth? Are we not getting a Phoenix? Isn't this literally a Phoenix mechanic? Like, this doesn't seem very Jundy. It seems like it's a Phoenix that you know, got born as a dragon instead.
Yeah, that is a little bit weird. It does feel Phoenixy, the mechanic on it. So I don't know. I haven't seen a Phoenix yet. Maybe this is our token Phoenix.
I wish there was some way to remove egg counters. Like, for every spell you play or something, remove an egg counter, so you can actually get it back quite quickly. But as is, 3 turns is a while.
I wonder, what do you think? Oh, it's exiled with an egg counter. Yeah. Okay, I was gonna say
you can't like hex parasite it or something.
Yeah, there's no real tricks from the exile zone. Yeah, that feels like a Hearthstone card too.
Seth, how much Hearthstone have you been playing?
Why is everything
much. a Hearthstone card?
I'm just remembering all these things. Have you played Hearthstone recently?
I have not played in like, I don't know, 2 years.
There's like a big thing that you when it dies, it like slumbers or something, and when so many spells are cast, it comes back. I don't know. We are Hearthstone now.
All right, next we got Lyra Dawnbringer, 3 white 5/5 legendary creature angel, flying, first strike, lifelink. Other angels you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink.
I mean, it's like a legendary Baneslayer angel essentially. It seems good to me. I mean, I don't know how much the Angel Lord aspect will really matter in Standard. That it kind of has the Unesh problem where all the angels are so expensive, kind of like Sphinx, that you can't really build a functional angel curve. So maybe you have like one other angel and it's a nice bonus, but I don't think you can really build tribal angels in Standard. But just as a Baneslayer angel on the top end of your curve or to gain back some life, I don't know how, like Ramenamp Red, if you're playing a control deck, this seems like a great sideboard card. They can't really kill it. It's going to gain you so much life, they can't really kill you. So I think it's good in Standard, but I don't think the angel tribal text matters that much for Standard.
Yeah, it's Baneslayer, so playable without the angel, but we do have some angels. We have 4-mana angels. We have like the 4-mana 3/4 that does something I can't remember.
Oh, the hexproof. It gives you and all your stuff hexproof. Yeah.
Yes, we have like fake restoration angel and stuff. So you can actually curve into the angels, but I can see it as like a stabilizing card. The lifelink is pretty powerful. So control decks could plop this down and gain some life back to stabilize the board.
Yeah, I think you can definitely play it with a couple other angels, but you don't want to be the like, hey, I'm playing for Lyras, I'm playing for Angelus Ancients, I'm playing for Angel of Invent, just like 5-drop tribal, and have every, like, the curve would just be too clunky. So I think you can get some fringe upside, like 4-drop angel into this, swing, gain a bunch of life from your 4-drop angel. That is pretty powerful. So I think it incentivizes you to try to play a few more angels, but I don't think you can be traditional tribal, like you'd see with Merfolk or a deck like that, where it's just like everything is a tribe member.
Yep, I'm waiting for Commander, where you entreat the angels, and then
Ooh.
plop this down and gain like 1 billion life.
How good do you think this? Is it relevant for Commander as a commander? Like, is this gonna be an angel tribal commander, or if you're playing angels, are you gonna play
Probably Avacyn? The problem is it's not multicolor, so you can't play all of the cool new angels like Sigarda. I can't remember the red-white one, but like, you know, all those like multicolor angels. And then if you're playing mono-white, you actually have the option of big Avacyn or little Avacyn. So you can definitely use this as a commander, but it's not like a clear-cut, oh, this will be your angel commander, because there are plenty of angel commanders, and of course there's always Kalia. So you have tons of options when it comes to angel commanders for tribal.
But if you're playing Angel Commander deck, you probably would definitely want this in your 99, because it seems like a pretty legit Angel in your 99.
You know where this would be good? Brawl.
Yeah, it's probably the best Angel Commander in Brawl, Richard.
I don't even know if that's true. I don't know how many angels we have in Standard right now. It might not actually be. The color restriction is a big deal. If this was somehow like multiple colors, it would be better. Alright, next card. We have Muldrotha the Gravetide. 3 green, black, blue. So 6 converted mana cost, 6/6, legendary creature, elemental avatar. During each of your turns, you may play up to 1 permanent card of each permanent type from your graveyard.
This is probably the first card I'll build a Brawl deck around. It's just so much value. I haven't found any real specific combos with it, but geez, just being able to replay multiple cards from your graveyard each turn, it seems like a really fun card to build around. And a 6/6 for 6 isn't absolutely horrible.
Can this be used in any older format?
So
you can do a lot of powerful things with this.
The problem, I think, is like, I think to really play in older formats, you probably got to reanimate it. Maybe some sort of weird Nick Fit deck or something could play it in Legacy, but for the most part, 6 mana pretty much means you're reanimating something. And then if you're reanimating something, it's like, well, why isn't this Grizzlebrand or an Emrakul or something like that just straight up kills my opponent rather than like, oh, I get to play my fetch land again. Oh, I get to whatever. I think it is powerful that you can keep getting back, using it like a Ramenamp Excavator almost, or Crucible of Worlds, to keep getting back lands from your graveyard. So it's a powerful effect that I think would be playable. I just don't know what deck can cast it consistently for 6 mana.
Yeah. If you can ignore the casting cost somehow, you can do broken things, because you can keep playing your Strip Mine again, or your Wasteland. You can, like, Thoughtseize every turn if you felt like it. And you can do multiple of these, right?
That's not a permanent, though, I don't think.
You can't Thoughtseize.
Yeah, it doesn't have
so
spells.
you can Liliana, you can Deathrite Shaman if they keep removing it. You can... Oh, what's the Pernicious Deed?
Yep.
Navinral's Disc, I guess.
So, yeah.
So you can play a lot of stuff every turn.
Maybe, yeah.
But
I mean,
but it's 6
maybe.
mana. I don't know how you're gonna do this. I'm sure you'll figure out how to make this work in Modern. So,
I'll definitely try, because it seems really fun.
all right. Next, we have Multana Yavamaya's Avatar. 4 green green 0/0. Legendary creature, elemental avatar. Reach trample. Multana Yavamaya Avatar gets +1/+1 for each land you control and each land in your graveyard. 1 in a green. Return 2 lands you control to their owner's hand. Return Multana from your graveyard to your hand.
I actually really like this card. I'm not 100% sure why I really like this card, but I think it's because I like Satyr Wayfinders and those kind of like self-mill strategies. And this card can be really big. The fact that it lands on the battlefield and in your graveyard means you should be able to make it a 10-10, 12-12. And then because it has trample, you can just swing in and kill your opponent. Like, it can't just be chump blocked by servo tokens or something. So I don't know if it'll actually be good enough for standard, but it's a kind of card that I could imagine myself building a deck around.
Yeah, and remember, like, fetch lands and stuff, so, like, Evolving Wilds, if you're talking about standard, or actual fetch lands, give 2 power, because you have a land on a battlefield, and a copy goes to your graveyard, and like you said, Satyr Wayfinder, those kind of effects kind of just power this up, and it has trample, and it comes back if it dies, so I actually really like it as well. It's like a Goyf. I love these kind of, like, dependent on graveyard for power and toughness type creatures.
And then your opponent plays a Rest in Peace.
But it's fine, you have lands in play as well. So if they Armageddon Rest in Peace, then Multana's looking kind of sad.
Oh, that's the deck, Richard. We have Follow the Thran. So you play this, follow the Thran, blow up all the lands, and then just kill your opponent.
Yep.
What about Brawl? How good is this in Brawl, Richard?
I don't... Probably good. But I don't know what you would do with this.
Is there commander damage in Brawl? There's not, right?
There's not.
That makes this a
little worse. But they only have 30 life, though, right? So you can kill them faster. Next, we have Narumeha, Master Wizard, 2 blue, 3/3, legendary creature, human wizard. Flash. When Narumeha, Master Wizard, enters the battlefield, copy target instant or sorcery you control. You may choose new targets for that copy. Other wizards you control get +1/+1.
I think this card's fine. I'm just so disappointed that it's only copying spells you control. I really wanted it to be like Dualcaster Mage. Then I think it would be really powerful, but the fact that you have to have 4 mana to cast this and mana to cast a spell, you need a lot of mana. I think maybe it's better in Commander, but Commander already has really good Wizards commanders. I do like that you can keep replaying it, but it's just such a big mana sink. So I would like it a lot more if it was Dualcaster Mage rather than only you control.
Wait, how do you replay this?
Well, if it's your commander, it dies and recast it. And
oh, that's so expensive.
it's...
You're gonna have to play like Gitaxian Probe. Fork that thing. Yeah, Dualcaster Mage is so much better. I don't know what you would do with this. And plus, I'll probably screw it up because I won't hold priority while casting the spell on Magic Online. What about the wizard pumping? Is this relevant? Do we have wizard token makers yet?
We do not have wizard token makers, but we do have a pretty aggressive... Like, I think that's probably the real power of the card. I think you look at this like... You're playing Wizard Tribal in Standard. You're curving out 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop. And then the fact that this is a Lord with Flash is actually kind of good. Like, you can attack, your opponent blocks, and then you flash this in to make the blocks bad and get value that way. So I think it's like... I think that's the card. You gotta think of this as a 4-mana Wizard Lord with Flash, and then once in a while the game goes really long, you have 8 mana, you happen to draw your Glimmer of Genius or something, and you get lucky and you get to double it up.
I see. I like that. Flash Lords. Like you have an Ether Vial all the time.
Yeah, basically.
But you're gonna hold up 4 mana, okay?
and we have Wizard Panharmonicon thing, Nayban. That seems pretty fun too.
Alright. Last mythic we're going to talk about, Varric's Bladewing, 2 red, 4/4, legendary creature, dragon, kicker 3, flying. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create a legendary 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying.
It's a good rate, kicked and unkicked. Like, a 4/4 flyer for 4 is pretty good. It's like Thunder Break Regent. And then 2 4/4s for 7 is also good, especially with flying. The legendary part's kind of obnoxious. The other thing is, we have Hazaret, we have Chandra, we have Rekindling Phoenix. So I feel like even though this card is pretty good, it's like the 4th best red 4-drop or something right now, so it might not see play because of that.
What about when all those cards rotate?
Well, Rekindling Phoenix is going to stick around, which is an issue, but I think it is more appealing once Hazoret and Chandra are gone this fall.
Oh, is Broodmate Dragon no longer good enough for standard?
Well, it is legendary Broodmate.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think of this? Like, how big of a deal is the legendary part of it? Or am I
think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because if you draw 2 of them, you can't even play them. Like, you gotta wait for the first one to die, and if for some reason you kicked one and they remove, say, Varix, and you have another one, you can't even get value because you're gonna legendary rule yourself with either the dragon or the token. So it's very obnoxious that the token itself is legendary as well.
Yeah, it would be a lot better, even if Varix, at least if the token was not legendary, you could still just like kick another Varix and get another token out of the deal. But with them both being legendary, it feels really clunky to play it more than like a 2 of.
Yeah, but it's going to be really good in Dragon EDH decks.
And Dragon Brawl decks.
All right, Seth, you wrote an entire article on this. We're going to talk about Damping Sphere. It's Damping Sphere.
Oh.
2 mana, artifact. If a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces colorless instead of any other type and amount. Each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn.
This card, I don't know if it does anything in Standard, but it's going to be a sideboard staple in Modern, I think. It is maybe the best card we have against Tron now, and it's also pretty good against Storm, so I expect this to be very heavily played in Modern, because both of those decks are like in the top 5 right now in the format, so I feel like the fact that it hits on 2 of the biggest decks in the format, and there's other weird matchups where it's like kinda decent and good, I think is gonna make it a really good sideboard option.
Does this replace Blood Moon? Does this replace, I don't know, Aetherstorm Canonist? Does it replace all the hate cards we have today?
Maybe. I think you lose the jank out power of Blood Moon. Like, a lot of decks play Blood Moon.
Is that an official rating now, Seth? The jank out power?
Well, it picks up free wins against people. Like, that's part of the power of Blood Moon, is sometimes your opponent's playing Jund or something, and you just cast Blood Moon and you win the game. You can't really do that with Damping Sphere. I think, though, the power of it is the cards that are good against Storm aren't good against Tron, and the cards that are good against Tron aren't good against Storm. And one of the biggest pinches in Modern is there's so many playable decks. There's like 30 or 50 or 100 playable decks in the format that your sideboard slots are super valuable, and you can't really afford to just beat Tron. Like, sure, it's one of the most played decks in the format, but that's like 8% of the meta or something. So you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to just play 4 Damping Spears and I'll never lose to Tron. That's true. You probably never will lose to Tron, but you can't afford to do that in Modern because there's so many decks. So the fact that this is really good against Tron and pretty good, it's not as good as Canonist against Tron, or against Storm. It's not as good as Blood Moon necessarily against all versions of Tron. I think it's better against traditional Tron, but not as good against like Eldrazi Tron. But the fact that it's close to being as good as the other options, and it fights 2 different decks, I think is why you would play this over Canonist or over Blood Moon. Like, you hate on 2 matchups for the price of 1, which gives you more sideboard slots for other matchups.
Yeah, as a Jund player, I love this. Because no one's going to have room for 4 Blood Moons, 4 Damping Spheres. So I think people will cut the Blood Moons for Damping Sphere, and I will no longer get Blood Moon.
The other thing is, it's like a Blood Moon that doesn't hurt your mana base. So in theory, like, Blood Moon doesn't just beat Tron. Like, eventually they draw their stuff and cast their cards naturally. So you need to have the fast clock too. The fact that you can be playing like Zoo or something that needs 5 colors of mana or whatever to cast your Tribal Flames, you can't really play Blood Moon in that deck, but you can play Damping Sphere, so it gives decks that couldn't play Blood Moon a similarly powerful way to fight against Tron. Also really relevant that it's 2 mana. One of the problems with Blood Moon against Tron, and for like Rule of Law against Storm, is if you're on the draw, your opponent can potentially just have the Karn or storm off with Brawl and whatever before you get to play your hate card. With this being 2 mana, you always get to play it before your opponent has their big turn 3. So that's actually a big upside too.
Yeah. You can play it on the draw. It's also colorless. I mean, a prerequisite to playing Blood Moon is having red mana. And you can't just like splash red because your Blood Moon's gonna kill you. Like you have to be like a predominantly red deck. So this gets around that. It doesn't hose mana, like you said, which is sometimes relevant. For example, a Blood Moon will kind of shut down Eldrazi because they don't actually have colorless mana unless they grab a waste. With Damping Sphere, they can presumably get to 4 mana still and cast Thought Not Seer. It doesn't shut down, I don't know, Grove of the Burn Willows, so they can still have green mana. Normal Tron can have green mana to Nature's Claim this thing. So this isn't like the silver bullet, but I do suspect that Tron players will be very unhappy that any deck can now slam this in. And then I think Storm players, John Finkel will be very sad at the incidental hate here because everyone's packing Damping Spheres for Tron now, and Storm will just get kind of hated out because of that. So it seems like we're going towards a fair meta in Modern, and good thing Jun's already one of the strongest decks. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
So will you be playing this in your Jun deck, Richard?
I don't think so. I think Fulminators. I don't play Blood Moons. Like we don't have enough sideboard slots, so I think Fulminators do kind of the same job, but they have other applications. But it is a possibility to cut Fulminators and try Damping Spheres. But I think I'll keep with Fulminators as a default, and we'll just do testing to see how it works out.
Also worth mentioning, it kind of messes up your Blood Braids because Cascade is like the second spell you cast. So you would have to pay an extra mana.
That's true. And also, you can't, like, I don't know, Thoughtseize Tarmogoyf or something with 3 mana. It like, that one, that's like a Thalia, right? Like, that is actually relevant. You're trying to actually cast more than one thing per turn for most decks. So this does hurt you slightly, unless you're actually I don't know what kind of deck just plays one spell, like Tron, I guess.
Yeah.
Every other deck is trying to play more than one spell per turn, so that taxing effect will affect you. All right, let's talk about a cool card. We have Helm of the Hosts. Legendary artifact equipment for generic mana. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except that token isn't legendary if equipped creature is legendary. That token gains haste. Equip 5.
I think this might be one of the most fun cards in the entire set. I don't know if it's playable in Standard. It's a lot of mana to really get going, but it doesn't say until end of turn. When I first read this, I just assumed that you were getting like the hasty token, you get in your damage, maybe an enter the battlefield trigger, but the token actually sticks around, and you can do some really funny things. Like, you can fire up a Gideon into creature mode and equip it and make non-legendary Gideon, so you can have a bunch of Gideon Planeswalkers. It goes infinite with Combat Celebrant. You just keep making the token and exerting with the token and attacking and doing again and again and again. So I think that you can do some really cool things with it. I don't know if any of those things actually can show up in Standard competitively, but it is a really fun card to build around.
Yeah, I don't know what I want, but I'm going to make a deck with Helm of Hosts and Blade of Selves.
Ooh.
And I'm going to make a token and then equip the token with Blade of Selves. And then I'm going to have like 6 of my commander on the battlefield. I don't know what commander is best to abuse that, but there's got to be something crazy you can do with this.
You need to like Helm of Hosts and play Mirror Gallery so the legend rule doesn't apply, and then make more Helm of Hosts, or make Helm of Hosts into a creature with March of the Machines or Bludgeon Brawl and equip it to itself.
Oh, this card is so cool. There's got to be something stupidly fun you can do with this, because legendary creatures have all kinds of cool effects, but you can't clone them because they're legendary, but now this kind of removes that, so...
It reminds me of Panharmonicon in some sense. It feels like that kind of really fun build around. Being legendary is a little annoying, but it seems like the kind of card that I will just play in essentially every one of my commander decks. Unless it's like a Spellslinger deck or something with no creatures, but it seems really easy to get value out of in Commander. And probably Brawl.
We gotta keep adding Brawl in, Seth, okay?
Good in Brawl, that's the new good in Commander.
All right, really quickly, let's touch upon the last cycle. So we had, what is Steel Leaf Champion? The triple green. There's a whole cycle of them. And we have Tempest to Jin. It's triple blue. 0/4 flying. It gets +1/+0 for each basic island you control.
Meh.
I don't know why they had to throw basic in there. Like, could it just not be island?
That kind of is what kills it for me, too. I've heard speculation. Return to Ravnica apparently is the rumor. It's not confirmed that I've heard, but for the fall set, so maybe they were worried about overpowered with Shocklands or something.
Is this our first, like, return to Ravnica? Like,
Yeah.
have we visited a plane for the third time yet?
I think this is the first time.
Okay, so RTR.
I mean, assuming, like I said, not confirmed. That's just people reading the tea leaves and the signs. So
Yeah, this doesn't feel very Djinni, but it's weird. I mean, I guess if you're playing mono blue and have 10 islands, this could be a pretty sweet 3-mana 10/4.
I think this is the worst member of the cycle by a pretty significant margin.
All right, moving on. We got Dreadshade, triple black, 3/3. It's a shade. Pay a black. Dreadshade gets +1/+1 till end of turn.
I think this is actually a pretty good card.
This is like an actually like decent body without the pump effect. Usually shades are really bad in that regards.
Yeah, they're like 4-mana 1/1s or something. Yeah, the fact that you're getting a 3-mana 3/3, that's already a good body, especially in a black creature. And then it's almost like unblockable. If you've ever played against the shade mechanic, it's really hard to throw a creature in front of it if your opponent just attacks with all their mana up, because then you're going to be afraid they're going to pump it and blow you out. So I feel like this card's really good. The problem with all of these cards, and I probably won't repeat it every single time, but it's hard to cast them. The idea of these cards is you basically got to be a mono color deck for them to work. So I don't know how many mono black decks we'll have in standard, but it's certainly playable. Like, the body's good, the ability's good. If there's a mono black deck, this could definitely be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Commander, where I have Cryptghast out, I have a Cabal Coffers, I have a Cabal Stronghold, and I have Nykthos. How much mana can I generate?
Depends on how many swamps you have.
And I have 0 swamps because I put all non-basic lands.
Yeah, you just have Cabal Coffers and Cabal Stronghold and Nykthos. Not looking good.
We'll get to Stronghold in a second, but we'll finish off the cycle here. We have Goblin Chain Whirler, triple red, 3/3 first strike. When it enters a battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control.
This card's really good too. I think this one will see standard play because we already have Ramanan Bread, and worst case, bringing it against tokens, clear out a bunch of X1s, have a 3/3 first strike for 3 is a reasonable body on its own. So I think this one's pretty good. Same, you got to be able to pay triple red to cast it, but it's pretty good.
Really, I would have voted for this to be the weakest of the cycle. Just pinging 1 to everything is very niche. There's only so many uses for it. 3-mana 3/3 first strike is And the last member, Banalish Marshal, triple white 3/3 human knight. Other creatures you control get +1/+1.
I mean, it's a 3-mana lord, which is already the going rate for lords for the most part for anything. No tribal restriction. Seems like it could be pretty good in like a white weenie deck.
Yeah, people used to play what was it? Always Watching, stuff like that. So now you get either the benefit or drawback of it being on a body. The benefit is it attacks for damage if you have nothing else. The drawback is it dies to Doomblade and whatnot. But Knight Tribal, can we do it? It isn't. You don't even need knights. This is actually just an anthem effect for everything. But it is a knight, so there are lots of knights in Dominaria, and maybe the knight synergies will be relevant.
And important to know, unlike most of the Dominaria cards, none of these are legendary, so you can't just like stack up Banalish Marshals and pump each other and go to town.
All right, last card. We referenced it earlier. Cabal Stronghold. It's a land. It taps to add a colorless. 3 tap, add black for each basic swamp you control.
It is the most fixed version of Cabal Coffers I could ever imagine.
Is it fixed though? It adds mana by itself, and it enters the battlefield untapped.
Yeah, so
if you're mono black, there's like almost no difference. I guess your utility lands, if you have an Orberg, aren't basic. But other than that, if you're just playing swamps, I think this thing might be better than Coffers.
The other thing is it's one more to get going. Like, you need 5 basic swamps to produce the first extra mana. Like if you have 5 swamps in this, you make 7 mana. That's a lot of basic swamps. And the basic restriction, like, part of what made Cabal Coffers so good is you just play whatever you want, and then it's like a combo with Herblord, which turns Cabal Coffers into a swamp. So I don't think this card's horrible. If you're mono black, it can still be good, but I think it's a lot worse than Cabal Coffers.
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, that's correct. But is this standard playable, Seth? Can we do something with this?
The only mono black deck we have right now is like aggro, so maybe we have like Torment of Hailfire as a big finisher, so maybe we could do Swamp Ramp or something, but I don't know how you ramp when you can only play basic swamps in your deck. So, well, it feels like a long shot, but if you can somehow get 5, 6, 7 swamps on the battlefield, this card is really powerful, and the opportunity cost is kind of low, because like you said, enters untapped, does produce mana right away, which was one of the downsides of Coffers itself. So, I'm gonna go with maybe, but I'm not super hopeful.
I'm hopeful. You have stuff like Cut to Ribbons. This thing is a colorless land which you can use, and if the game goes late enough, you can actually like fire off a gigantic ribbons if you have enough swamps.
But then how do you make the 2 red mana?
You also have
you need like mountains. 8 swamps, 2 mountains, and
have you never been flooded out as an aggro deck, Seth? This gives you
if you have 10 lands on the battlefield in your aggro deck, this card it's good.
When they settle the wreckage, you're like, haha. Okay. You put in all the swamps and then you ribbons them.
I was gonna say you could settle the wreckage yourself, but then I forgot you need 2 white mana to do that. So,
if this was like not basic, it'd be so much better.
Yes, that would go a long way. I don't know why they have that arbitrary restriction.
Well, like to not make it insanely powerful and auto-included every deck in standard, right?
They did it with the Jhin too, though, and that card, that wouldn't be busted.
I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah.
But if you have basics in an Orborg, this still works. Only for the basics. So if you have like plains or something, and you play an Orborg, that's a basic swamp, so that counts. But if you have like a strip mine, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
All right,
it's cool callback at least.
You know where it's better than Coffers?
Where?
In Brawl. Coffers is illegal. Can't do anything.
That is
it gives you a game loss.
That is a good point. That is a good point.
All right, that's all the spoilers you want to talk about, Seth. Any last cards you want to bring up?
I think we hit most of the big ones. I'm definitely still super excited for this set. I think it looks super fun. I was saying this on stream the other day. This might be the best budget Magic / against the odds set we've ever had, because there's so many unique legendary creatures, which as far as like, I'm going to break standard with them, it's going to be hard because they're legendary. But as far as like, I want to build a unique deck around them, we have way more options than most sets, I think.
Yeah, this is possibly the greatest Commander product outside of Commander, and maybe even including Commander. There are so many cards I want to build decks around or include in my decks. It's actually crazy. They could have called this Commander 2019 or whatever, and we wouldn't have blinked an eye. I'm like, that looks about right.
Yeah, that is a good point. This is probably the best Commander set ever, and definitely the best Brawl set ever. No arguments.
All right. Let's move on to Fishmail. If you have any questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air. Sinfoid asks, when are we going to see a Brewer's Minute on beard cultivation?
I don't know if cultivating a beard counts as brewing.
We need the beard content, Seth. That is what people are asking for.
All right, I will consider it after I do the dapping video. Did I say that right?
Dabbing.
Dabbing, there we go.
A Lost Leonin. If Rav Capuchin can flash in Planeswalkers, would it be useful? So Rav Capuchin can flash in historic spells currently. So it can flash in Planeswalkers.
I think it can.
Because Planeswalkers are legendaries.
They are.
Would it be useful? I don't know, because you can't activate them. But you get the surprise factor of flashing in a Planeswalker.
Yeah, that is the downside. If you could figure out a way to activate them on your opponent's turn, it would be a little more powerful.
Yeah. Bruno Alzaguire, deep in the Arena code, there's a thing called Arena Modern. with sets from Shadows over Innistrad to Dominaria. What do you think about this arbitrary cut?
I don't put much weight in it. I've had people ask me about this on stream and stuff, and at this point, with Arena being so much in the beta, I'm not willing to concede that that's the starting point. I'm sure there will be Arena Modern, but I think that the starting point, I don't necessarily believe this file is set in stone to mean that that's the starting point.
Yeah, I don't think anything is set, but I think this is most likely Arena Modern. Whatever, when they launch Arena, whatever the earliest standard set that they support is, that will be the start of Arena Modern, I believe. I don't think they would go back and add like Cons block or something just to make Arena Modern work. It'd be whatever they launched with, whatever the oldest set is, that going forward will be Modern.
That seems like not the most ideal way to create a new format. Just like, we don't feel like programming anymore, so we'll start here.
It's like Brawl, right? It's just like, they just make it so you can use your cards, but they're not going to go back and randomly add cards or something to make it more balanced. They might ban something, but I'm pretty sure whatever they launch it with is going to be the start of Modern.
The unfortunate part for Arena Modern, if it does start with shards or Shadows over Innistrad, is you are literally hitting all the ban cards. Like your format is going to be very small because there's not many sets yet, and it is literally going to be mostly the worst standard we've had in the history of Magic, with Emeralds and Smugglers Copters and Energy. So it sounds like an absolutely miserable format. There might have to be a lot of bannings to kick off that format.
Maybe, but it's probably a far ways out. It would probably be like many sets beyond Dominaria by the time Arena Modern becomes a thing.
I don't know, though, because they talked about rotation. And Kaladesh rotates this fall.
You think as soon as the first rotation happens, we're getting Arena Modern?
Wild?
Because it's basically... But didn't Hearthstone take... No, their rotation happened with lots of sets, though.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. They have talked about wanting to make sure you can keep playing your cards, because they force you to keep all your cards with no dusting. So if people can't use their rotating cards and you can't get rid of them, I think people are going to complain about that a lot. If you have like, for the next 3 years, I ground for 500 hours to get these Kaladesh cards, and they do me literally no good on Magic Arena, and I can't dust them. Seems like something people would complain about.
Just throw the Kaladesh block into the vault. Get one random mythic out of it. All right. Next question. Relin 1. No one is talking about Brawl in terms of an arena format. Seems easy to get one of each card in standard to brew infinite Brawl decks for replayability. Do you think this will help free-to-play players get around the economy?
I guess we'll have to see how supported it is. Like, we're in a weird spot with Arena. Like, are there going to be ladders and tournaments for Ball, you think? Or are they going to add a way where you can just, like, challenge one of your friends like you do on Magic Online? So I think that's what would have to be determined. Like, I don't even know how you play play Brawl on Arena right now.
Well, you need to support 4 players, which almost guaranteed it will not be. So it'll be 1v1 Brawl, which I think loses the appeal of Brawl. It's kind of like how Moto has 1v1 Commander, but like no one really plays it because it's not actually Commander, because it's when you have just one opponent, it's a totally different game.
They actually had a singleton format on Magic Online for a while, which would almost exactly, like, slight twist because you have something in Command Zone, but it would be very similar to that, and that ended up going away because it wasn't very popular.
Yeah, but if they could support 4-player Brawl on Arena, I could see Brawl being actually the most popular format on Arena.
Interesting.
And that's like kind of the thing, right? Because it's easy to build decks, like the commenter said. Like, you only need one of a card, and it's casual, and you don't need a top tier deck when you're playing with 4 people. Like, the politics and dynamics kind of balance out the power level. So I think it can work.
Could you imagine trying to play a 4-player Magic game on your cell phone? Like, how would you even, like, how do you represent that visually? Like, Magic Online really struggles with that, and I don't know how on Arena they would have 4 people playing in that, like,
you would need to, like, have to swipe sideways to view everyone's board state. Something weird like that. I don't know how you would do it, but knowing Wizards, almost assuredly they have not implemented 4 players on Magic Arena, and you will never see proper Brawl or Commander on Arena. You'll probably get a 1v1 variant, if anything. Next question. Elias2718. Could Arena benefit from colored wildcards in addition to regular ones, so you don't feel bad using your rares on something other than your main deck?
Wait, so it'd be like a wild card that you could only use on a
Yeah, so
blue...
I guess like a red wild card or something, and you
Isn't
can only...
that just like a strictly worse wild card?
I think you would get more of these though. So the problem that Relin is bringing up makes a lot of sense. Like if you have one mythic and your deck is not complete, you feel really bad using it on a second deck. So you kind of hoard them for your primary deck. But if you opened a white mythic wild card and your deck was red, then you would feel free to craft.
But wouldn't you feel worse because you really wanted another white mythic wild card
well,
so you could make your deck work?
They would be more common though, theoretically, right? They'd be more common than the all-colored wild cards.
I think that doesn't really solve the problems with it. Like,
Yeah,
sure, I
it's too
guess, but I
complicated.
don't think that actually fixes the issues I have with the economy.
It's an interesting idea, but I think it's like too complicated because now you have like colored wild cards and then you have rarity wild cards and it's all over the place.
Or like converted mana cost. Your 3-drop red wild card. Go.
Set wild cards could be a thing.
Yeah.
Like any mythic from Amonkhet or something. I don't know. There's always all kinds of ways they can do this.
They need to do the Magic Online treasure chest where you can, like, once every, 1,000 or something, you just get a complete set.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, the complete set wild card. I want one of those.
But you need 4 of them to make progress.
Not in Brawl. It would be perfect for Brawl players.
Downright Dick, I love playing Burn, but feel that Boros and Naya can't be the end-all decks in Modern. I have seen some Jund and Mardu decks that look spicy. What do you guys think about these other Burn decks? Oh, Jund Burn and Mardu Burn.
They're fine. I don't know. I'm not sure that I've seen one that I've actually thought is better if you're just trying to win a tournament than Naya/Boros Space Burn, but I think they're competitive enough that you can win with them.
Yeah, the more colors you add, the worse it gets because you gotta shock yourself, and there are a lot of aggressive decks in Modern, so it actually is kind of important that you don't kill yourself. So I don't know. Bump in the Night is cool though. I like to see some black-based Burn. T-Laser recently started competitive EDH and Canadian Highlander in paper. Wondering if I should pick up Imperial Seal given that WotC has recently shown they're willing to reprint P3K Portal 3 Kingdom cards in old Judge promos.
Oh man, I'm sure that Imperial Seal is near the top of Wizards' reprint list. With them moving away from modern masters to old stuff that no one wants but is expensive masters, it's gotta be right up there with Imperial Recruiter on the top of their list. So I mean, get it if you need to. There's no way of knowing if it'll be the 6 months or 4 years, but I would be surprised if that wasn't reprinted at some point in the not super distant future.
All right, Jake Fisher. Since Jace is back, does this kill my dreams of getting Splinter Twin unbanned? Seems like Jace would make the deck too good.
Maybe. I don't think Wizards was really considering unbanning Splinter Twin anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean, they could we all kind of think that Splinter Twin was banned just to shake up the metagame, so maybe they one day unban it. I mean, they unbanned Jace. How bad can Splinter Twin be, right?
It's actually a pretty good argument.
We'll use the Jace argument for everything. They unbanned Jace and it was fine.
Give me those skull clamps.
All right, DC Dezeras, have you thought about rating all new Planeswalkers on a doubling season scale? Basically 1 to 10 rating and how broken they are with doubling season.
Basically, it's really simple. As long as it ultimates right away with double loyalty, it's a 10. If it doesn't ultimate right away with double loyalty, it's a 0. That's pretty much exactly how the rating would work.
All right, Streakist. In Modern, Legacy, and Commander, I can play a style of deck I enjoy. In Standard, I'm forced to choose between a varying subset of options that may not cater to me. Isn't this the inherent flaw in Standard?
I don't know if I don't know what style of deck this person specifically enjoys, but I feel like Standard has most styles of deck. Like sometimes combo, I guess, would be the one that would be mostly lacking, and you can still build combo decks in Standard. They might not be tier 1, but it they exist with like Paradox Engine and Aetherflux reservoirs. So I don't know. What style of deck do you think would be missing from Standard?
I mean, I think lots like combo, or if I want to play mid-range, there's typically one mid-range deck. Like if I want to play a white-based mid-range deck, does it exist? I want to play a blue-based mid-range deck. So I think that is a real thing. If I want to play like a black control deck or black aggro deck or black mid-range deck, it may not exist, right? There may be an aggro deck or a control deck, but maybe not in the colors I want. So that is a real thing, but the trade-off is it's a smaller card pool, so obviously you're not going to be as flexible in what you're building, but it rotates often, so it's fresh. So that's the trade-off for playing Standard. Next question. As somebody who plays MTG, since Amonkhet and mostly drafts, I really like Brawl. Please keep covering the development of the format during your podcast.
I think we talked more about Brawl than any other format this week.
I mean, even the Fishmail, everyone is excited about Brawl. There are so many new players that don't have, an infinite collection, and they want to get in on this commander action.
I'll be curious. Is this going to be tiny leaders where everyone's excited for 6 months and then everyone forgets about it? We'll have to wait and see.
Because it's not 1v1. I think because it's multiplayer, it doesn't need to be balanced. So I think that part of it will be the key. Alan PB, has vehicles become evergreen like equipment?
It looks like it. I think they're still rarer than equipment. We haven't seen as many vehicles per set, I don't think, outside of Kaladesh as we do equipment, but it seems like if there's a card that should be a vehicle and it's important to the story, Wizards is fine with putting it in pretty much any set at this point.
You know what I wanted to see? Juggernaut become a vehicle.
Ooh.
It's like so clearly a vehicle, but for some reason it drives itself. Like, it needs to be crude now. Sorry, we retconned Juggernaut. Beer of Nihilea. If Arena becomes a platform for drafting and Standard, how will that affect Moto availability of Standard cards?
So someone asked me about this on Twitter. I think that basically it equals out. In theory, if lots of people switch to Arena for Standard and drafting, there would be less of those cards on Magic Online, but there would be less people on Magic Online that would need those cards. So in theory, like, supply goes down, demand goes down, roughly the same amount, prices stay about the same. If there is some weird world where, like, people switched just for drafting, but didn't want to play Constructed on Arena and still played Magic Online for that, then something like that could make it weird. But I assume that those two things would mostly go together.
All right. Admiral Wolf, Seth mentioned on the most recent Against the Odds that you would do Planeswalker Tribals with 3 or more cards. Does Ob Nixilis count, since he has 2 Planeswalkers and 2 creature forms? What about Karn after Dominaria? 2 Planeswalkers, 1 creature.
I hadn't thought through the mixed tribal. I guess character tribal? Maybe we'll try some character tribal decks at some point.
All right. USA Forever 7. Do you feel like the biggest barrier of entry into Brawl from Commander is relieving? Maybe this is realizing that you have to get new decks after rotation. How would this change so more people play Brawl?
I don't think we will expect that to change. I think that Wizards wants Brawl to be a rotating format, so I think that you gotta treat Brawl as like, I'm playing Standard anyway, I have these cards anyway, I can buy $10 extra of stuff to fill out my deck and have a Brawl deck. I don't think you want to treat Brawl like, oh, I'm going to spend $300 to buy a Brawl deck, because it's just, I don't know if it will be worth it. If you're going to do that, you might as well buy a not super expensive Commander deck, I would assume. Yeah. So I think that that's where it fits, like, to give you more value out of the cards you're already buying to play Standard, or opening boxes or fat packs or whatever.
Yeah, I think that is a good point, though. I think most people don't realize it's going to rotate. Like, they know, but they don't really think about it. Because with Commander, it's a good casual format, because your Commander deck from 5 years ago still is probably functional, unless they ban something from it. So you can piece it together over time, and you can bust it out when your friends ask you to play. Whereas with Brawl, you need to be up to date. You need to be actively playing and, dealing with rotation and things like that. So maybe in that sense, it's not as good as a casual format. You can't just have your really old Brawl deck and just bring it out anytime.
Yeah, I think that is very true.
Next question. Mr. Liebao, what color Planeswalker would you be? Your title, and what would your emblem do?
Ooh. Maybe emblem would be like, whenever you draw a card, draw a card. That would be sweet. Probably blue or like Azurius.
So you just deck yourself immediately? What?
You may. Whenever you draw a card, you may draw a card.
I think my emblem would give all my creatures flying double strike for indestructible +3/+3 lifelink. It would be like a super... I guess I'd be like an Elspeth. I would make like janky tokens. Oh, what if I make shapeshifter tokens?
Ooh,
Changeling tokens.
That would be super cool.
It fits in any tribal deck. Your ultimate is like, a big anthem. Your minus is like draw cards based on the number of creatures of that type. That would be my Planeswalker card. That's so good. I should.
Great design. You should have done the great design search, Richard.
This is perfect. I wish we could play like Commander Clash by making our own commanders or something. Like something you do in paper where you like proxy up a fake commander.
That would be pretty cool.
LOQ, how do you feel about Nissa leaving the Gatewatch?
I wish everyone would leave the Gatewatch.
I don't know what's going on in the story. Who's in the Gatewatch then? Is it just
Teferi now. Teferi got an oath, so I think they traded places.
Oh, is it when you have the oath that means you're joining the Gatewatch? Is that what that oath is for?
I don't know. I think that you're like taking the oath of like joining the Gatewatch or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. I'm understanding the story. I still have to read the story. So
I haven't read it either, but I assume that's how it works. I'm probably gonna get yelled at for being very wrong.
Legendary Hero 7, 2 theories. 1. Brawl was introduced to give arena players a form of EDH. 2. The introduction of Brawl means WotC plans to make more legendary creatures each set. Thoughts?
They say it's not because of Arena. I watched one of the streams and they made it sound like it would probably come to Arena, but it wasn't because of it. I thought it was because of Arena. I don't know if we'll see more legendary creatures. It seems like Wizards has already amped that up because they've realized that Commander is super popular. So we've seen a big impact of Commanders. So I think that Brawl just gets the crossover. Maybe small changes like making sure you have multicolor legends or something that might not always exist. But I don't think it'll have a huge impact on the number of legends.
Yeah, I think we're just seeing this legendary stuff because of Dominaria. That's like one of the big themes of the set, so I don't expect to see this many legendaries going forward. Last question. Malo Man 87. Are you able to comment if you're planning to update 8-Whack with Dominaria?
I can comment. No, I don't. Well, yes, I probably will update it, but I don't think that the goblins from Dominaria necessarily go in 8-Whack. I would be more excited to play a deck like the red-black goblins list we played. That was a little bit more about going bigger in tribal, almost like legacy goblins, than the 8-Whack shell itself. So we'll see goblins, but I don't know if those goblins will be in the 8-Whack shell or on a slightly different non-Whack goblin shell.
All right, that's all our Fishmail questions. Thank you, everyone, for sending them in. Send them in to the hashtag MTGFishmail on Twitter to @MTGGoldfish, and we'll get to your questions on air.
Ooh, and I think that brings us to the end of episode 167 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So thank you to everyone for listening. Richard, big thanks to you for hanging out. Always fun.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Seth.
And we will be back next week. We'll have the full set of Dominaria, whatever else is going on. So until then, this is the crew signing out.